Ladies and gentlemen, University of Richmond Cybersecurity Bootcamp class of 2023. It has certainly been a pleasure studying with all of y'all over these last 6 months. On behalf of Keith Weinstein, Caleb Grabham, Winston Chaffins, Shauna Green, and myself, Riley O'Shaughnessy, we present to you using Rufus to create bootable USB Linux machines. We have learned that situations may arise due to data breaches or a system attack that will need to be forensically analyzed to discover the extent of the damage. Booting a Linux distribution from an external device allows the user to run a separate independent operating system on the computer without involving the existing operation system or its files. This can also be used proactively to conduct penetration tests to simulate what an attacker may do to exploit vulnerabilities on a computer system, web application, or network. Linux is an open source operating system, so users are able to configure and customize it for their specific purposes. It is also acclaimed for its security elements, provides features such as encryption, firewalls, and intrusion detection. Malware is able to be analyzed inside this virtual environment as well in order to see how it works and create methods to detect and remove it with no risk of infecting the local operation system. However, in some cases, due to a malware infection or other issues, the local system may become unbootable itself. So installing a Linux environment from an external drive can provide that avenue to access the system and repair the bootloader and recover any compromised data. First, go to rufus.ie and download the latest version.
All right, next we'll choose a flavor of Linux. There are many different versions of Linux with key differences between them. In general, there are 3 different categories of Linux flavors with their own specific uses. These categories are security focused, user focused, and unique. Under security focus, these are for those that are security conscious, whether it be an individual or a large enterprise with a high level of security needs. Some of the popular flavors for this category are Kali Linux. As we have learned in this class, this one is popular today for forensics and pen testing. It is loaded with several tools such as EtherCap, Foremost, AS, Aircrack NG, and many others. Cubes OS. This is the top security focused Linux based OS system around. It gives greater protection against malware attacks due to being able to isolate your files and VMs. Paired Security OS. This one was designed to test the system by staging an authorized attack on the system to assess for security vulnerabilities and security strength. It also has full portable vulnerability labs that offers protection whether surfing the web, playing games, or anything else. User focused. These tend to be more user friendly and require lower levels of Linux skill. It is more for ease and simplicity rather than for security features. Ubuntu, as we could tell from this class, this one is extremely popular due to being very accessible for novice Linux users. Ubuntu also has good support. Elementary OS, this one is not like the typical Linux stereotype. It is easy to use with a beautiful user interface similar to Mac OS. It comes loaded with Epiphany web browser and other apps can be installed when needed. Unique. These have specific users, which is either specially focused or novelty. Suicide Linux. This one will erase your hard drive if you enter a file name in bash incorrectly. It will not correct the file name for you and run, but it will instead resolve into rm-rfl command and wipe the hard drive clean. Hannah Montana. This one is a novelty featuring UI based off of the Hannah Montana TV show. This one is Kubuntu based. It is basically just Linux with that theme design. Would have been a go-to for younger girls wanting to get into tech back in the day. These were just a few of many Linux flavors to choose from. There are choices available for different uses and different levels of Linux expertise. Now we'll download the one of our choice, which is Ubuntu. As you can see, there are several to choose from. This presentation is geared towards Windows 10 and 11 users.
So you're going to want to go to ubuntu.com/download/desktop. You're going to install and start Rufus. Insert the USB drive. You will lose all data on your drive. It should be at least 8 gigabytes. Select FreeDOS from the drop-down. Click the Select button. Choose the ISO file you downloaded, in this case Ubuntu. Remember, this will destroy all data on your USB drive. Reboot your system and get into BIOS. Control-Alt-Delete will restart most computers, as well as the power option under the Windows button. Getting into BIOS may be a little tricky at first. It usually involves clicking a function button, i.e. F10 or F12, a few times, right when the computer restarts or powers on. Google your computer model to find out how to enter your BIOS.
BIOS, or Basic Input-Output System, is a software stored on a small memory chip on every PC or laptop motherboard, and is used for editing many settings of your computer in a very basic way. BIOS can be used for overclocking, changing RAM timings, contains postcode to diagnose issues, and most importantly for this instance, prioritizing which data source your system will boot from. First, you're going to want to navigate to the boot option and choose USB as option 1. Reboot the computer with USB inserted, and you have a clean booted Ubuntu machine. You may need to tinker with some settings. Our group had to use the second newest version of Ubuntu.
You don't need just one. You can have multiple USB drives to reboot into whatever operating system you want. Rufus has many other uses as well. You can create a USB installation media, work on a system that doesn't have an OS installed, flash a BIOS or other firmware, or run a low utility level. We wanted to thank Thor and Kevin for their guidance and leadership in teaching us so many new things throughout the last 6 months. Without y'all, we wouldn't have been able to make this presentation. And we wanted to thank also Nicole Levine for her wiki.how article. It was a great source of information for us to be able to make this presentation today.